What are the Islamic teachings on environmental responsibility? That's a good question. Environmental responsibility is something that we are all personally responsible for. Now, what does that look like? Does that mean that I shouldn't use oil? Does that mean that I shouldn't cut down trees? Does that mean that I can't develop on land? Right? These are all very valid questions. And the only thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits us from is israf. Right? Because using oil as a resource is halal. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to us to use as a resource. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us trees so that we can utilize them in different ways and in different capacities. We're not allowed to abuse those resources. So it's actually very interesting to me how there are so many environmental conversations like, oh, we need to switch to wind energy, or we need to switch to solar energy, or we need to switch to this clean energy and that type of clean energy. And I think that's fine, right? All of those conversations are completely reasonable, and I think those are healthy conversations. The question always comes is, okay, if we use X type of energy, what are the harms that come from utilizing that energy? And this is a conversation I think many people are afraid to have. It's very easy for us to say, okay, well, if you burn coal, right, it puts coal into the atmosphere, it creates smog, right, it creates pollution. Yes, that does happen. Is it worth it removing energy? And these are conversations like we don't want to have. Okay, is everybody willing to give up lights? Most of us aren't. Is everybody willing to give up using their microwave or using their phones? Because I have to charge my phone, right? So there are a lot of resources that we use off of electricity, and we need to ask ourselves, am I willing to give this up for that? And someone might be like, okay, well, you're polluting. We're always going to be polluting. There has to be what level of polluting are we willing to tolerate? And if we are willing to tolerate X pollution for X benefit, anything we do will always have consequences. Someone might say, okay, well, what do you mean by that? When I leave my home, is there a chance of me hurting other people? Either in an accident, falling on someone, tripping, spilling something on someone else, right? These are real consequences. How do I prevent all those consequences? By staying home. Yes? If I stayed home, the chances of me hitting someone else with my car, it goes down to 0. The chances of me spilling my coffee on someone else, it goes down to 0. The chances of someone hitting me with their car, it goes down to 0. Why do we still go outside of the house? Because we're willing to take those risks knowing that, okay, hey, listen, my earning is more important than these potential risks. And it's the same thing with energy use. I'm willing to take that energy for this detriment, right? There's a detriment that's there, but we all tolerate that detriment. Another example is murder is bad. We all agree murder is wrong, murder is bad. How do we bring the murder rate down to 0? One option is everybody stay home. Right? If everybody stays home, everybody stays in the cell, everybody locks themselves in a room, the murder rate will go down to 0. Why don't we allow that as a society? Murder is bad, and we all agree it's wrong, and we all agree it's bad. How come we don't stop that? Because again, the idea or the need to work and the need to be productive and the need to interact, the need to deal with people, we see this to be greater than the potential harms. Again, it's potential, it's not necessary. The potential harms that might come from these other interactions. Someone might be like, okay, well, what about wind energy or what about solar energy? How do I create wind turbines? Wind turbines are made very famously of plastic. Where does plastic come from? It comes from oil. Wind turbines need to be replaced every 5 to 10 years. When that turbine breaks and I take that plastic, what do I do with that plastic? I put it in the same garbage bin that we throw away all of our plastics. Again, I'm not saying don't do it. The question is it worth it? Solar panels. What is the life of solar panels? Even those. Sometimes, some of them 10, sometimes 15, sometimes 20-year lifespan on solar panels. When that time is done, what do I do with those solar panels? It ends up with the plastic of the wind turbines. And on top of all that, for the metals that we use in those solar panels, cobalt, selenium, what we call rare metals, rare earth metals, where do I get those from? Most of those are mined in, and I know it's a very far removed conversation from us, but places like Congo, places like places like Congo, places in Central Africa. And who mines those? The cheapest labor. And the cheapest labor in those countries is what group of people? Do you guys know? Children. This is the cheapest labor. Because all it is just physical labor of washing, the things and just kind of separating it. Are we as a society willing to put up with child labor so that we can get solar panels, or so that we can get these? These are all questions we need to talk about. So when we talk about, or when I like to talk about environmentalism, and when I talk about our responsibility is not to be musrifin. If we don't fall into rabid consumerism, if we don't want to change our devices every year, if we hold on to our cars a little bit longer, if we use less plastic and less paper at home, I think that'll help solve a lot of these issues and a lot of these problems, versus looking for alternatives and still consuming at the same rate that we do. And Allah knows best.